Good people, what's going on? It's your boy Caleb Smith. Got Kimmy Coco to my left. What's up with you, Kim?
What's up, y'all? It's Kimmy Coco, and we have a couple of things we're going to talk to you about this week.
Yes.
And bear with me, because I was out really late last night for the first time since, like, the 90s.
And time changed on you, too.
Yeah.
That was the worst
it was
time.
like the birds were chirping when I got in bed. But we were going to talk about Amanda Seales, the new healthcare venture, Haven, the racial funding gap in the schools, and then J.P. Morgan no longer funding private prisons, and then, just some casual chopping it up stuff with you guys. So let's get into it. Everyone's week was good? Yeah.
It's flying by,
Anything
man.
going on?
It's almost spring break.
Jay Black, your new show, Black Owned, looks really good. Everybody check that out.
Yes, sir. Watch out, Netflix.
And also make sure you guys purchase these shirts.
Yes.
From him.
Very comfortable, too.
Oh my God. Okay, so
Stretchy.
For women, we buy T-shirts, and we love T-shirts, with the logos and stuff on them. But they're not stretchy. These are really good for us.
Yeah.
I mean, we have things that we have to put in the T-shirts that y'all don't have. And every T-shirt is just not woman-friendly. I'll put it like that. So, we end up having to cut it, do this, do that.
Yeah.
But this really just fits, and you don't have to do all that. So make sure you cop one of these. Tonight also, last week, I went to a screening for Finding Justice. It's going to be on BET. Really, 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 really great concept. It covers a lot of the things that we talk about on our show, like stand your ground law.
Voter suppression was one.
Voter suppression. Yeah. Everything we talk about on our show, they're going to talk about, get in depth. So it's going to be pretty good. I'm going to check it out if I'm home, if I don't come here for the screening tonight. But I think everyone should check it out, a 6-part series. And then maybe we could just, talk about some of the stuff that we saw, in the future episodes or whatever.
Yeah, most definitely.
At the screening, David Banner moderated it. Great job, great guy. I can't sing his praises enough. He's really, really, really cool. I didn't really see too many other people there besides people that worked on the show, but it was really good. So
that's what's up.
I can't wait to see that. So what's up with you? How's school?
School's cool, man. Almost done. We just chilling.
You're going to Cuba.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to that study abroad trip. So, we'll be learning from the people. Talking some Spanish. So I took Spanish all throughout school. So doing that journalism stuff. So, we'll be talking to the people. Looking forward to it.
We definitely, when you're down there, man, we definitely need some footage, man. So
Hey, I already had it planned. I was going to have the T-shirt on, all that stuff. So I got y'all because, Cuba, Asada Shakur, she's over there. And on top of that, it's a lot of Afro Latinas in Cuba.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a super dope experience as well. And Sakar, so I'm gonna bring y'all back a whole box because they said we can get.
Bring them back?
Yeah, okay. I can bring back a box for $2.
What?
Yeah, so it's super cheap.
Bring it to
there.
me because
So,
I'm selling mine.
But it's gonna be pure, so you're gonna be coughing. But yeah, I got y'all.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So I saw something on the internet, and we didn't meet when we met. I don't know if I had seen it yet, but I wanted to bring it up because you guys know all about the NFL. But did you see that one NFL player that quit the NFL so he could smoke weed?
I was ignorant, man.
I thought that was wonderful.
Nah.
What's wrong with that? What's his name?
It's just
Do you
weed.
guys remember?
It's not that
Yeah,
serious.
he quitting over weed.
His name was David
I'm
Irvin,
sure
I think?
he said that it was more than just that, but that was the deciding factor for him because he thinks weed is a better treatment than other drugs for the things that you go through at when you play football. I
feel it. Instead of having opioids and stuff like that, taking IVs
he
before
said,
the game.
I'm out of there. I'm just not going to do this anymore. I watched the video, and I was like, good for him.
What was his name?
I think it was Nate Irvin
Nate Irvin.
for the Cowboys, defensive end.
If you can Google what his salary is.
That's what I'm saying. Is it worth sacrificing that for a gram or two?
David Irving says he's quitting the NFL until marijuana policies are changed.
It's
now
never
let me
gonna
see
change.
what his net worth or what his contract is.
Yeah, just put in his contract because the net worth, that might be a little off.
Yeah, contract.
David Irving contract. Let's see.
1
year, $2.9 million? No? Yeah.
That's cheap, but it's still $2.9 million. Yeah.
For 1 year,
Facts.
Okay, I would get my $2.9 million, and then after, he might have got his $2.9 million. I understand. If he got his $2.9 million, then okay, I'm cool.
Let's see.
But if you didn't get your money yet, and you talking about quitting,
buddy tripping.
I hope you got another plan.
Of course he does.
What did he go to school for?
I don't know anything about this guy.
He was getting $170,000 a week, bro, after every game.
I mean, I hope the best. I mean, I like. And I don't think LeBron will get this credit until he's done.
Yeah.
But I like that he's empowering players. It's a lot of player empowerment. A lot of players are
I was thinking about that this morning.
Up and be like,
yeah.
Nah, I'm doing, like even with Antonio Brown.
That's it.
I saw an interview. He was like, man, I don't have to play football. Like,
I posted that, on the tweet.
I don't have to do this. Like,
Who said that?
Antonio Brown.
House is paid off.
Yeah, he said my house paid. And I feel like we're in a time now where athletes are more empowered. Like they're like, man, y'all not about to. Y'all need us. We don't need y'all. Like
that's facts.
I mean, it goes hand in hand. It's a partnership.
Mm-hmm.
We need y'all as much as y'all need us. So let's act like it.
That's very true.
So,
He's from Compton, this guy.
Oh, yes. He don't care.
Yeah.
But he said, I already made it. But
he went to Iowa State University.
Wow, okay.
I don't know what he majored in. It's just giving his college highlights. But he can get a job.
What he needs to do is open up a weed dispensary.
Exactly.
He probably will.
He needs to stay on that same way. But Jay Black's point is amazing because I was thinking about that same thing. Because I'm like, AB, he was just on the shop. And already – this man won his trade deal. He got what, $30 million guaranteed? Yeah, it's like $30 million guaranteed, 53 overall for like only 3 years. And he's 31, so he's on the wrong side of 30, and he's getting paid like that. So I respect that. This man demanded the trade. He got paid for it, and it came through. So
I respect him for leaving the NFL because I don't care much about that whole place.
He just better be smart.
But yeah, I'm sure he can invest and do other things.
But he won't have a
There's
pension
other
check
things.
though. He won't have a pension. He should have waited till like his 5th year.
Do they get pension checks?
Once you play up to 5 years, yeah.
Well, if your brain is all jacked up, it's not going to really matter much now, is it?
True.
Well, good for him. We also wanted to talk about Haven. Now, Jeff Bezos, the Amazon, Berkshire Hathaway, and JP Morgan, they all got together and they're starting a healthcare venture called Haven. They want to lower healthcare costs, prescription drug costs, and they want to make healthcare contracts and the websites more understandable for the average person. Yeah. Now, these companies together have 1.2 million employees and employee families. So if they start this new venture, that's going to change the game for everybody. So what they really want to do is lower healthcare costs. Everybody knows how high it is for health insurance.
Right.
And if you don't have a job and you go through what Obamacare, it's going to take out a big chunk of your income. So hopefully they're going to change the game. What do you guys think? I think that that's going to be a good thing.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, the more competitive the market is, the more it's going to change.
Yeah. We shall see though.
It took them a year to get this thing together. They hired a surgeon, CEO Atul Gawande, and he wants to change the way people experience healthcare, which I think is a great thing. So they said that it's probably going to make every employer and everyone redesign how they do health insurance.
Yeah, it should change.
We'll see.
Health insurance is just too expensive anyway, so seeing that changing.
Because people usually, nowadays, they don't even get health insurance.
Yeah, it's a lot of people who don't. It's
I mean,
like
with the way it is now, right. I mean, entrepreneurs,
yeah,
even people that are very wealthy, they don't pay for health insurance. They just pay as they go. If they get hurt, they just come out of pocket. Instead of paying into the insurance company.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea.
Health insurance now, it seems so expensive. And then also being in America too, it's like, what's the true purpose of health insurance, really? Because you're paying all this much money for what?
Especially for drugs.
Yeah.
And that's why I think like people like this guy from the Cowboys that quit. I mean, if nothing else, it just shows how passionate he is, and it brings awareness to the fact that cannabis.
Like, we already know this for a fact. Yeah, it's way more beneficial.
But to Caleb's point, he need to make sure he goes into that lane and capitalize off of it. Don't just quit because you want to smoke a joint. Like,
yeah, it's a lot of people do that.
I mean, but it's easy for us to say don't just quit because you want to smoke a joint. But what if this man is dealing with anxiety, depression? You know what I mean?
Pain.
That's fine, but get into the business of it.
Make money off of it.
You just quit your job. You know what you're gonna do.
Right.
You just gonna smoke.
Right. Like what? Don't let that be like a high decision.
Right.
Like I was so fucked up. I didn't even mean to quit my job.
Yeah, you done burnt bridges now.
Exactly.
You feel me?
Exactly. But weed dispensary, got to open that up. It's a huge business right now, so got to make that happen.
And now what with the health insurance, it's not mandatory no more, is it? Since Trump been
right, he took away you having to pay a penalty for not having health insurance.
Dang,
Yeah, it was
that
like
sounds
a
like
$700 penalty.
what?
On your taxes if you didn't
Yeah,
have
you
health
have to
insurance,
pay.
like
Yeah,
I think that shows like capitalism at its finest.
exactly.
Like we're gonna force you to have this thing that is truly optional, just so they can make money. Pharmaceutical companies, all that stuff.
That's
so
how I feel about like car insurance. Like I pay all
It's
this
a racket.
money. Yeah, I pay all this money.
you don't get in car accidents.
I don't get in car, and then when something do happen, y'all
You only gonna give me what I pay
A
for my car.
deductible, you gotta pay
Yeah,
that.
I might give me that, but I still gotta wait like 4 or 5 months. Sometimes even I know people that waited a year to get
a check.
You serious?
Well, because sometimes they have to investigate and see, what the liability
they're
is.
investigating because they don't want to have to pay as much.
Right.
So they're trying to find any type of loophole.
But there's people that's paying into this.
Yeah.
They got money that where's all this money going?
That's
my
ever since
thing.
I was
It's
a
going
kid.
to pay for everyone else. It's like a
Okay, but they still got an extra amount of money.
Right.
right. They have to pay their employees, make their profits. They use their money to invest in other things too. I mean, even with healthcare or even with your insurance, some of them have part of the vehicle is to invest in the stock market or into mutual funds
Right.
or, you know what I mean? Like it's all a big racket. And the more you know about it, though, the better you can navigate and know which choices to make.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's why we always try to come find some information and
Right.
share with everyone to let everyone know. So keep on top of this and see where this goes. This is going to start off, like I said, with their employees, J.P. Morgan, Berkshire Hathaway, and Amazon employees. Amazon employees they're like guinea pigs. Like they just try everything on them. So once that gets started, we'll see how that affects the whole market.
Yeah, we'll see.
What else is going on? Okay. There was a report and there were some studies done. And they found out overwhelmingly white school districts received $23 billion more dollars than predominantly non-white school districts in state and local funding in 2016, despite serving roughly the same number of children. That's crazy. The funding gap is largely the result of reliance on property taxes as a primary source of funding for schools. Communities in overwhelmingly white areas tend to be wealthier, and school districts' ability to raise money depends on the value of the local property and the ability of residents to pay higher taxes. We knew that. Well, we assume that because we usually say we want to send our kids to the schools in the better neighborhoods.
Good schools.
In the better neighborhoods, right?
The good schools.
I mean, that's what we do. That's what
facts.
we knew.
That's
I mean,
facts.
so are we going to keep doing that?
I don't think so.
I mean, the reason why they get more money is because they pay more property taxes.
Private schools, too. Tuition, things like that. They get paid.
I mean, I guess, for the resources nowadays, you really need to have computers, right? For the students and everything like
Have
that.
to have computers.
But other than that, I mean, we could teach our kids things that they need to know, right?
Killer Mike, man, he had a great debate. It was with Frank Ski. You saw
and
that?
He had one with Frank Ski.
He killed him.
He had one on the Breakfast Club.
He killed
too.
him. Oh yeah,
And
DJ
he was
Envy. I
talking
forgot about that too.
Why
he killed it.
why do we keep putting our kids in white schools?
He's right.
Why aren't we just making our schools better?
Which is that simple. And two, it's crazy because my dad, he grew up on Cascade APS school system, and back then every high school was named after a prominent black figure. You had
Right.
Frederick Douglass High School,
Yeah.
Benjamin Banneker, Benjamin E. Mays. Like, we can just keep going on and on and on. And I think that where the problem lies, in the 70s, it was popping because we had Black Pride.
Right.
80s. Then in the 90s, it was still cool. But I think in the mid-2000s, everything started to change. You had families move to white suburbs, all that stuff. But, I mean, I think that at the end of the day, too, when you have a child that goes to a predominantly white school, even if they're black, they're being just indoctrinated from day one. Because you're learning about European history. You're always learning that this person is the father of this, the father of that. And essentially, you're not good enough. and you really don't fit in because everybody doesn't look like you. But at a black school, you can feel more comfortable, more confident, all that stuff. So I think that even if going to a white school is considered a good school, is it really good for that child? I don't think so anymore.
So EdBuild, the research company, examined the nation's 13,000 traditional public school districts and found 7,600 where more than 75% of the students were white and about 1,200 where more than 75% of the students were non-white. The non-white districts, which included many large cities, were much larger than the white districts, which included many small rural areas. But the two groups each had the same number of students, 12.8 million children in non-white districts and 12.5 million in white districts. So non-white districts took $54 billion in 2016 in local tax dollars, about $4,500 per student. White districts, home to higher incomes and less poverty, collected more than $77 billion, or just over $7,000 per student. On average, states added another $6,900 per student to white districts and almost $72 per student to non-white districts. But the overall gap in state and local funding was $23 billion. White districts, on average, have more than $2,000 more in funding per student than non-white districts. That's ridiculous. But again, like, you know, when we get to the point where, you know, you get your job, you make your money, what do? We move into the white neighborhoods, and then our tax money is going toward the education, right? So, I mean, why don't we stick around? I mean, and then we complain about gentrification, so it's like, why don't we stick around and make our neighborhoods good?
It's
you
so
don't have
simple.
to leave your neighborhood, just make your neighborhood good.
Yeah, it's so simple.
Anything
It
that you
really is.
want is possible.
Yeah.
If you put your mind to it, you get your people together and gravitate towards your tribe, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you just find the people that do and like and are interested in the things that you do and like are interested in, instead of just thinking like, oh, okay, because I make this amount of money, I'm supposed to be doing this.
Right. It's crazy because think about this, even for those families that move to the suburbs. And I remember myself growing up, my dad, you know, he made it out and then we moved to the suburbs. But only thing is, when it was time to go to church, we went back to the predominantly black neighborhood to go to church. When it was time to get a haircut,
went back to
the black
That's
neighborhood.
What we did,
When it was time to play basketball or sports, a black neighborhood. So it's like, if you're going to do all that stuff in a black neighborhood, but you live in a white neighborhood, why not just move back to a black neighborhood? And it's that simple, because you already do everything else there. But I guess, again, like what you said, we have this misconception that if we go to a predominantly white school,
we're going to learn more. You're going to learn a lot about everybody else but you.
And it's that simple.
And that contributes to the esteem issue that a lot of black kids have. Because they've been going to school and not seeing anybody black and learning about anybody black, or even having black teachers.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
At the same time, it's still up to the parents. Like, the parents got to teach that.
Right,
Yeah.
that's
You can't rely on
true.
the school. Like, we know that the school system is messed up.
Yeah.
You can't rely on the school to basically raise our people relying on schools to raise their kids. You really can't do that. Like, the kids spend most of the time with you.
Yeah.
They go to school for what?
7 hours.
a day.
Yeah.
What, 9 months out the year?
Yeah.
You still got
That's true. It's only for 9 months.
Yeah. You feel me? You gotta empower you gotta build your kid up.
That's facts.
Anyway.
That's facts.
You gotta teach them what you feel like they're not getting in school. Like, at the same time, they're not teaching them financial literacy neither. So you just gotta teach your kid what you feel is important.
That's real. Man, that's tough.
And then, you know, I think it's important to go to both. To like go to public schools, like around all black people, and like schools, just so you can get a feel, because you gotta understand how the world is. Like,
it's not gonna be all black.
Yeah, like, so say,
right.
I feel like when I had kids, I'm gonna be in a position to where my kids gonna be going to good schools, so they might be around white people.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, in college, I want to send them to an HBCU, or vice versa. Like, if
just so you can get that
just
well-rounded,
see the world, like, see how the world really is.
That's
like,
facts.
You know, get experience from both sides, because it's necessary.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You can't just be black and, you know, shut off all other races. Like, you have to interact with these.
And I think that, you know, in the world, as the world gets smaller, and the internet makes, you know, the world a smaller place, and you learn more about everyone else's culture.
Yep.
It's important to be around different groups of people. I mean, that just not just speaking to the white neighborhoods. I mean, everybody.
Yeah, just to see, you know, they open your eyes to different ways of living. Like, I noticed that's how I was when I went to Ohio State. Like, just being around those different cultures, it just opened my eyes to a lot of different possibilities.
Yeah.
Even different type of black people.
Yeah.
You know, you
that's
grow
what people
up
don't
in one
understand.
area, like, and you just used to black people from the inner city, all that. But it's different type of black people. Like, it's rich black people.
Bougie. Yeah.
And, you know,
that's it.
It's necessary to just get out your circle.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people in my city, we kind of like trapped in that mindset. Like, we trapped in, this is how life is. And it's like, man, no, you got to get out of this.
Let me ask y'all a question, too, because what is media's portrayal of black people, and how does that affect how people see us? You know what I mean? Like,
it's the main thing that affects how people see us.
So, and like you said, you know, black people are not all the same. You know, some grew up, you know, in just different ways, right? I don't even know how to say that, but you know what I mean. But back in the day, media, hip hop, music, everything, there were different lanes. Right? It was like, you know, we had like De La Soul, kind of like nerdy, preppy, Tribe Called Quest, you know what I mean? Like kind of like artsy, yeah. You know what I mean? Middle class, school.
Yeah, Wu-Tang.
We still got that now.
Then you had Wu-Tang,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Or like G-Rap, or, you know, and then you had like Miami bass. It was whatever you wanted. We still have all those different flavors, but are they reflected in the media as much as they used to be?
Now,
I see what you're saying.
Actually, we was having this conversation on Friday. Like, now we got so much power in media that we really just now learning how to use
how to navigate it. Yeah.
Because I think at first it started off everybody just trying to get famous, trying to go viral. Now, like, we understand, like, we can really use these platforms to put a message out there. And I think, you know, with us having like podcasts and we really control the media now. Like, as a people. Social media controls, like, how many people really sit down and watch the news? How many people really sit down and watch TV?
They don't even have patience for it.
I bet you people, they're on social media way more than they're watching TV.
Yep.
Especially
absolutely.
The next generation that's about to be taking the lead.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
about to be the old people. These are social media. Like, my generation, we are more social media than TV. So it's like, man, we got the power right now. We just got to use it the right way.
So that's why I don't understand when people say, oh, there's no black media. Like, there's so much black media.
We just got to support it.
We got to support it, and it's just still new.
Yep.
It's still new. Like, it's still new. Within the next 10 years, and 10 years from now, we're gonna have those media platforms. Like, we're gonna be we already shifting into a wave of where we supporting each other.
Yeah.
So
that's facts. I mean, if you think about it, Breakfast Club, a radio station, gets their traction from YouTube when they post interviews on YouTube, and they get millions of views. And I remember a guy from The Source, he was interviewed. I'm gonna butcher his name. It's like L. McClendon, something like that. But he was Prince's attorney or something. Now he works for The Source, but he was saying that people
I heard that interview.
Yeah,
that was a good interview.
Yeah, but he was saying how people don't understand when it comes to black media that we're starting from like 300, 400 years back. Like, these people already got everything.
McMillan.
Yeah. So he was saying, you know how people say, well, how come we're not at this level? But people, they don't understand everything that's going on, you know, behind the scenes. Like, when you got to purchase your own camera, your mics, networks, all that stuff. So it's different.
That's even to the point of how, again, let's take social media. How you might look at how somebody else doing good.
You start comparing.
Like, man, you start comparing. But it's like, man, this person been doing this for 10, 20 years. Like, I can't compare myself to Spike Lee. Spike Lee's been doing this.
Malcolm X came out in 88,
right,
99.
I can't be mad that I'm not on the level of Spike Lee. Spike Lee has put time into this. Spike Lee was at my level at one point. CBS was at this level at one point. Right. Shit, Amazon, we see the picture of Amazon, he was in his garage. Like, it just takes time, and we got to just, you know, respect the process.
That's it.
You gotta respect the process.
Well, I think too, because so many people have gone viral and gained their popularity so quickly for doing
off of ignorance,
right?
But
longevity.
I about to say we've been able to see how social media works
right
now, and we've seen those people come and go. Like the one guy, I don't know if y'all remember the Mr. Hotspot dude.
Yeah, I haven't heard about him. He was here one time.
He's from here.
Yeah,
he's from here, but. You know who Mr. Hotspot is?
I don't.
You look beautiful.
You look beautiful. The little dude that's been on social media.
He kind of slow.
Yeah. He's not slow.
Well, you see,
He just acts like that.
Yeah. But, you feel me? He blew up. He went viral, and now where is he at?
Where is he? He has a song and everything.
But it's like, come on.
That's what I'm saying. But you see how these people blow up, they go viral, and then they just fall right off.
Oh man,
There's no longevity in that.
Yeah, gotta have substance. That's like the biggest thing. You know, you just can't be having one clip.
You know what? I was thinking too the other day. Whatever happened to Ace Hood? You know,
And Ace Hood is tough too.
I had a theory
He's
on
tough.
that. Like it was either gonna be him or Meek Mill. And
when it comes to the
I never
yelling, rapping.
Just speaking about people that just fade away and disappear and have all this buzz and then they're gone. Like,
well, his was more political in a sense. Like he called out DJ Khaled, so I think that he kind of got blackballed.
So he got blackballed.
Yeah, I think that he
DJ
did.
Khaled wasn't really pushing him like he should have.
Which is fair to say, because I mean, Ace Hood is very talented.
That's because they probably got more behind the other people in the. Anyway, speaking of Meek Mill and. He's a part of this. He's the face of social and political
he is.
reform.
He is.
For prison reform, that is. And a big announcement came out this week, and everybody kind of was like, well, what does that mean? They've already gotten their money. But J.P. Morgan Chase stopped financing private prisons. Did you hear about that?
I did.
When I heard about it, I immediately thought, oh, great, because you know how many African Americans are males, females are put in prison for like little to no reason because they are private prisons. And like you said, corporate America and capitalism.
All goes in one.
It all goes in
Yep.
one.
Politics.
And so when you have a need, then you create, when you have the prisons, then you're going to create a need to fill them. So then all these laws are passed that make you go to jail for little to nothing, like a bag of weed or something like that.
That's
so,
crazy.
J.P. Morgan, and this is the reason why it's so important, because a lot of these private prisons, most of them are working on borrowed money from these banks. So everyone is calling on a lot of the other banks to stop funding private prisons. An immigrants' rights group. Okay, so here's another thing about private prisons. Not only do they put, criminals in there, but they also put immigrant detainees in there. So that kind of goes back to, to kind of figure out, like, what is the agenda behind all this? Because we've been hearing a lot about ICE lately, right? And how they're detaining immigrants.
Yeah.
But we've also been hearing about a lot of law reforms, which are stopping a lot of the people that they would usually arrest from going to jail, right? So it's either going to be, these laws are put in place that make African-American males go to prison. The laws are reformed. Less prisoners, less men go to prison. So how are we going to fill them? Okay, well, now we're going to have to pass laws that put these immigrants into prison. So it's either going to be both or
somebody's
one.
Gonna take
Somebody
the L
needs, we have these prisons now. We got to keep them full because now we have these contracts with food and all this stuff. So it's a big old thing. So this was great news for us, right? So the Center for Popular Democracy and Make the Road New York, they did a research, and at the end of 2017, 9 out of every $10 Core Civic had on hand were borrowed. Core Civic is a private prison group. And for CEO Group, another private prison group, 19 out of every $20 were borrowed. So before J.P. Morgan Chase's announcement, the bank was the largest holder of debt for the industry, with 62% more than the second biggest lender to CEO Group and Core Civic Group. So basically what they're saying is they're running on borrowed money. So the people that they're paying back with the prisons are the banks.
Wow.
So these banks are, and they have been since slavery, because basically that's how they made their money.
To begin
with.
How everybody made their money.
So they're trying to end abuse of private detention centers. Immigrants and people of color are increasingly aware that we need to target all sources of funding, whether public or private. For years, immigrant advocates have pushed hard. So basically, the immigrant advocates pushed for this specifically to happen. And they started these groups that were targeting the banks and that were boycotting and marching and just bringing attention to this. And they got one bank, J.P. Morgan Chase, to announce that they would no longer finance private prisons. So good for them. 70% of immigrants detained in this country are held in private prisons. And if you remember, we talked about on a previous episode, checked this out on YouTube when we were talking about, what's his name? 21 Savage.
Oh, yeah.
And when he got arrested, they put him in that private prison down in
I was like,
South Georgia.
Yeah.
And the conditions of that prison are horrible, And a lot of the LGBT immigrants and the gay immigrants, they get treated even worse, and they've been being abused. And it's just like all over. Go read it and research it.
Yep.
But, to have the bank stop funding this mess, it's just a good look for them. You know what I mean? And then so now they're pushing for other banks to announce that they're going to stop funding the private prisons.
It's really scary seeing that these banks had a hand in that thing, which is wild to me, because this proves again that it's bigger than just a few white people. Like, we have corporations behind this stuff, banks, like big banks. JP Morgan, that's huge. So knowing that they were investing in private prisons, that's a very scary thing. That's wild.
That is crazy. So they think that they want to tear themselves away from financial risk and reputation risk that is tied to these private prisons. Wells Fargo said it will no longer actively market the sector. So they haven't stopped, but they're not going to go asking them if they need to borrow some money. You know what I mean?
All these banks were that involved.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So do you think, and I know you already know that we love to boycott things, but should this be up for discussion possibly? Like, or should this encourage people to
at the end of the day,
bank black?
That's what I'm gonna say. At the end of the day, the only thing that we can do is say bank black. But, do we need to hear this to know that we need to bank black, or do we just know we need to bank black? I mean, how many other...
I ain't gonna lie, Kim, this really changed my whole perspective. Really, just knowing that these banks invest in your demise. That's scary. And yet, we bank with these institutions, these companies. So I think that we should take a step back and say, hey, we probably should bank black. And I think that we should invest more in black banks, because then they could start developing apps like how Wells Fargo has an app, things like that.
That's the thing about the bigger banks. They're more convenient. I remember Jay Black was talking about, when he went to go open his account or whatever. It took forever. And then you have to go to the branch. They don't have all the technology developed that. So I think that, once we put more money into them, they'll have more money on hand to develop all the things. And I think that some web developers or some black techies should volunteer their time just to make it work for them. You know what I mean?
Because, we're already doing it for the Wells Fargos of the world or the JP Morgan. So I think that, especially after learning this information, I think that we should consider doing more when it comes to black banks as well. So I agree with you on that, because after hearing that, that's some crazy stuff. I mean, that's wild.
Are we using our money morally, ethically, or are we just spending our money? Like, make sure that you put your money to somewhere that cares about you. I've always felt like that.
Yeah, you're speaking facts. It's so sad that we don't even know half of these things. Like, we don't know sometimes that a Wells Fargo doesn't even want to stop investing in prisons, or JP Morgan, that they were, doing that as well. So that's very interesting to learn.
Yeah. They were also heavily involved in the African slave trade. You can read about that too.
Yeah, that's wild.
But that's what people were saying, like, oh, wow, now they want to stop. I mean, come on, let's just...
It's a PR move too, though. So
yeah, of course, because they're getting bad press.
Yeah, exactly.
On a lighter note, something went on last week that you guys were talking about on the call that we had, and I was kind of like, what? What you
said
do?
On a lighter note. It's lighter to you, Kim?
Yeah.
You're talking about faithful black men being targeted, and it's a lighter note.
So, if you guys haven't heard, what we're talking about is Amanda Seales and Myron Rowley. And the reason why I said, is his name Roll or Rowley?
Roll. I thought you was just playing around when you said Rowley.
I just really thought it was Rowley. So it's Roll? Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, the reason why I said on a lighter note is because she really didn't say that, what they think she said.
Yeah,
she's being accused of accusing Myron Roll of sexually assaulting her or saying inappropriate things to her. She referenced this on her podcast and on another interview, but later on it comes to find out she wasn't talking about her. She said that she told these people on her podcast and on her interviews that she didn't say that. She said that he did that to some people she knows and they told her about it. So she was putting him out there on the strength of somebody telling her that he did that.
And Kim,
he didn't do it to her. He did it to somebody.
The fact that you had to go through all those holes just to describe
she shouldn't have said anything. Right.
You're doing way too much.
She's doing way too much.
And I think that that's my biggest issue right now. Like, we got to be careful when it comes to saying things about men, about people. Right. Like, you can't be out here saying stuff about being sexually assaulted, any of that stuff. And if it is true that she's doing this because he turned her down, that's extremely petty. And I think that it's not cool. Like, you can't take it that far. You can't take it that far. And we have to build a new culture where we hold everybody accountable, male and female.
How about, like, be appropriate all the time with everybody.
Yeah.
Women are not, it's not like back in the day where we're not going to let you know via either eye contact or body language that we are interested in you. You don't have to be a creep and say inappropriate things or touch somebody in an inappropriate way.
Right. But, and somebody told me this, man, in class, which is crazy, but sexual assault is a thin line between flirting, because if a woman likes it, it's flirting. But if she doesn't like you or if she's not attracted to you, then
that's
it's sexual
what I'm
assault.
saying. You could tell by my body language or my eye contact.
But you don't have that on social media. You see what I'm saying?
That's why you don't meet people on social media. You meet them in person. There's too many rooms.
That's the world now.
Yeah.
But do you see why?
Yeah.
I mean, do you see what I'm saying? Do you see why that's not the greatest idea? Social media, like, when I talk to people on social media, I'm very short with it. Like, I don't know if you're a robot. Are you real? Are you on somebody else's page? Is this your picture? I don't know none of that. So I keep it brief in general. You know, people try to pull you in. Oh, that, you know what I mean? And they try to get you to say stuff.
Right.
You are in a public forum with a stranger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You cannot say and do all these inappropriate things because it's going to come back and bite you in the ass. Right. You see how many people said things 10, 15, 20 years ago that come and bite them in the ass now because they are in a position that can influence people?
But Amanda's part and a lot of females' part too, though, just being completely honest, they got to stop using spite towards a man to tear him down sometimes. Like, right now, you did all of this for what? Like, what was the main purpose of this?
I don't know. I wasn't really ever that crazy about her, to be
Yeah,
honest with you.
same here.
So I really don't pay much attention to anything she says. So this one went right over my head until y'all brought it up. And I kept seeing it kind of floating around. But yeah, you got to be careful. You can't just say...
So, if you were in her shoes, would you even bring that up publicly?
No.
It's like, why not just address that behind camera?
I'm this type of person. If I know something about you, I just sit back and be like, "This, you can't hide it. You're gonna be you, and you're gonna do
it's
it
gonna
to
come
somebody
out eventually.
else."
But when she's trying to do that publicly,
after that, I'll be like, "See, I knew this dude was just mad creepy."
She was going a little too hard. Like, I just don't get it, because right now.
Well, she's popping right now, so everything she says is just like, you know, whoop-de-whoop. Yeah. We
got to be smarter. Especially, you know, when it comes to how we deal with black men, black women, all that stuff.
So let me tell you, when I was at the BET screening, you know, I was watching David Banner speak, and he's very passionate, right? So you could see it in his face that he's just like really serious, really passionate. You could see like almost the blood pumping through his veins, right? So I saw this.
You saw the vein?
I mean, like, I could see, because you can only get so much involved in something before it starts to affect you, right? Physically, mentally, emotionally. Like, you can be an advocate for something for so long, but then it's just going to, like, take over you. So you kind of have to take a break sometimes. You got to fall back. So I see him up there, and I'm like, damn, he's like... So I saw, like, all this tension, right? So when after the show, he was talking to people, whatever, so I was like, oh my God, like I could, like, I don't know what made me do that, but I was like, was that inappropriate? Like, are they gonna make a Lifetime movie about me now?
Me too. On you.
If you was a man and he was a woman, it probably would.
Yeah.
And then last night, I was at the bar and I saw Charles Oakley.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, Charles Oakley! Like, no one even recognized him, right? So I was, oh my God, my dad, you know.
When we played for the Knicks.
Yes, like that was the man back home, right? So I was just like, oh my God, Charles Oakley, he is fine. Anyway, I was like hugging him, and I'm like, okay. So after that, I was like, okay, was that inappropriate? I think they're gonna make a Lifetime movie about me.
Y'all be out here sexually harassing us and nobody talking about it, man.
I'm about to be on Lifetime, y'all. I gotta watch my hands because now I feel kind of self-conscious about that. But y'all need to feel self-conscious about it.
Females too. Females be staring at guys' butts and
staring at butts.
Yeah, females be doing some wild stuff, man.
That's not.
Y'all be harassing us, Kim, but nobody be talking about it. It goes both ways, man.
All right.
See?
Whatever.
You touching on celebrities.
I couldn't help it. See? I mean, I don't know, but I'm going to stop that. I'm going to stop that because I see what y'all mean. Like, it's natural, you know. It's
the
just,
slightest thing.
You just think, like, but then what if he would have been like, don't touch me? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would have been wrong.
It's a thin line. It's a thin line.
Ladies, watch your hands. Fellas, watch your hands.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Stay to yourself. Make a girl sign a contract. Make a guy sign a contract on both ways.
Something.
Non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah, y'all need NDAs for real. All right, so anything else y'all wanted to talk about? We can wrap it up because it's almost that time.
Should we have a surviving Harvey Weinstein story?
Yes, let me tell you something, y'all.
What you got to say?
There are so many movies about all these other people that y'all keep saying that there aren't movies about. Let me tell you, there are so many documentaries about. Okay, there's Harvey Weinstein. That he had a special on 60 Minutes, and then he had Hollywood working with Weinstein. There was another movie. 2020 had a thing. Shame, Scandal in Hollywood. BBC had a thing on him.
Okay, why ain't it this big?
Right.
Because I'm gonna tell you why. Because we don't pay attention to that because we don't care. Okay, we only care when we are using it as an example of why aren't they doing this? They are doing it, but you don't watch it because you don't care.
That's my whole point right there.
Yeah.
Just like Burger Box. Burger Box had no promotion.
Until black people start talking about it.
I wouldn't even say black. I would say everybody that watched that movie was the promotion for that.
Facts, the hashtags.
Black people were the promotion for our downfall. White people are not promoting Harvey Weinstein. Like,
Woody Allen.
Like, they're not promoting that bullshit.
Yeah.
Elvis. They say he used to
Priscilla, she was 13.
Okay, and
the white people are not promoting that shit. They're not making jokes about it. They're like, fuck it.
Right, yeah.
Get it out, you know.
You're not going to talk about our legends. Yeah.
You feel me? That's the thing, like.
I don't know why we do that.
I do.
I don't know why we do that. We shouldn't do that. We shouldn't
talk
about
for the
our
okie doke.
And just like I was telling you guys on the call, like, why is it funny to everyone that black people, I'm assuming this is what you think. I am by no means saying this. But the only assumption I can make by the memes I see on social media are that African Americans are financially illiterate. Because every meme that's been going on for the last couple of weeks is, oh, you about to get your tax money and you're going to blow it on flip it or buy some crab legs or buy a car and it's going to get repossessed or, you know what I mean? Oh, IRS, February. Here you are in March. Pre-tax, after tax. Like, it's funny to everybody that, you know, or is it only assumed by everyone that black people are financially illiterate?
Yeah, I mean, speaking on that, I think that, again, Jay Black's point, which I completely agree with, 110%, it's like we make fun of each other, and it's
so we bring our own value down by making fun of each other. Just like I don't understand why people make joke memes about legends. Like, why is it so funny about Stevie Wonder being blind? Like, why do they still make memes about him? He is a legend. No, it's not funny.
It's like, all right, now that's comedy. Like, we can't get to the point of like we can't crack jokes anymore.
We could crack jokes, but it's like, okay, if that man dies, like, y'all, everyone's gonna be like, oh my God, like, respect that man.
Yeah,
that's
I see
disrespectful.
What you're saying. So look, back to the point too. Again, where I'm having issue with, and a lot of black people too, is that although there's been Harvey Weinstein docs, it hasn't got traction, or it has been,
but just like
but
he
it has
said, why
been promoted.
We don't care.
But look, here's the thing too. Going back to the media too, we allow for them to control the narrative. So, for instance, with Oprah, and this is my biggest issue with her. Nah, for real. We got this whole.
Leave my auntie alone.
We got to hold her accountable. If we're gonna have a Michael Jackson documentary, which is completely unethical, he's dead. So he cannot defend himself, and he was not found guilty in court. FBI tapped him for over 10 years, found absolutely nothing. Wade, his former attorney, said that he's doing this for money because he's broke. So when we have all these sources, and we have Oprah doing this after-party interview talking about Michael Jackson, he was a predator, yet when you used to hang out with him, you never said that. Yet you're good friends with Harvey Weinstein.
Is she or was she?
She is.
All those old pictures they kept showing of her.
Selma, who you think produced Selma? A lot of people, they don't know that. Harvey Weinstein. Half of Oprah's films was funded and produced by Harvey Weinstein. So I'm just saying that we got to be consistent because although he's not a black man, we got to have that same energy. Catholic Church, over 6,000 priests found touching little boys. And I get it, black people aren't involved. But if we're going to have this same energy when it comes to R. Kelly, which is something we already knew about. We already knew about Michael Jackson, like all that stuff. So it's like I don't get why it's so hard for us to apply that same energy towards everybody else.
I think because the victims were black women. That has a lot to do with the way the media carried it or didn't carry it. Because the victims were young black girls. And that is why the issue isn't as or don't.
We just have to be careful too because with the media and it's so obvious we can see them tearing down black men. And R. Kelly, I get it. Like he's a creep, needs to have.
I mean, after
Bill
20
Cosby.
years, you don't think that he's somebody needs to be. I mean, because black women, if you want to go there, are the reason why he got away with it for so long without having any.
To a certain extent, and also we can say if it was a white woman involved, that because I think that black people did care, and black people still do care. It's just that sometimes when you got black people involved, we're the only people who cares. Right. So if it was a white girl involved, then this would be this American issue. But now that, it's just black girls. And two, again, we just have to stay consistent because now we see Bill Cosby. We already saw that. R. Kelly, J. Black, you remember when he said this on Thursday, which is true. We already got the R. Kelly jokes out in January. So it's like, why are we still going in March on R. Kelly? Like, we already knew this. We already knew who he was. Yeah. So I don't see how all this stuff is just brand new. And then, you know how we have Gayle King and everybody saying that's great journalism. She was baiting him the whole time. And she was not objective. She was like, I'm supposed to believe that.
She wasn't even saying anything.
No, she said a lot. By her simply saying, I'm supposed to believe that, or you're playing the victim, that's not being objective.
He was.
But as a journalist, you can't take sides.
Right.
So she was like, you're playing the victim. So she was trying to egg him on. So then that's why when he finally snapped, she was just standing there like, I got my soundbite. And she did. Like, people don't understand, man, this is a game. Like, people don't look deeper into things.
You think that too?
She was not objective.
I mean, they definitely do it for ratings.
Yeah.
Again, like you just named all these Harvey Weinstein, but they're not talking about it because people don't, like he just said, people don't care about it. People don't care about Harvey Weinstein.
No, people don't care.
We don't care about R. Kelly either, though. We don't care about none of this shit, for real. Think about it. We don't care about Michael Jackson. We don't care about R. Kelly. It's funny, so we're going to crack him up.
Yep. It's funny.
We don't care
It's
about
all
none of this
entertainment.
stuff. At the end of the day, it's funny, so we're going to crack a joke. It's funny, so we're going to laugh. The white people ain't funny. Like that Harvey Weinstein, we don't really know too much about him to crack a joke to find something funny about it. But if he was like a Woody Allen or somebody that's been around, the black culture a little bit longer, then we would have jokes for him too, because we found something funny in it. But we really don't care. I think that's the reason why you don't see us out. It's not really an outrage. You gotta think about it. It's not really an outrage.
It's not.
It's the jokes.
It's the
funny.
jokes.
Yeah. Nobody's mad.
Like at the end of the day, we really don't care. That's just the bottom line. We care about, and we barely care when blacks are getting killed. So it's like So it's like at the end of the day, it's too much going on, too much information being accessed through the internet, and it's like our attention spans are not really. So the majority of people that really care about their life and care about that got stuff going on, like me and other people, probably didn't even watch the R. Kelly joint. Like we really don't care.
I didn't. I watched it, but
I didn't watch the little docu-series. I didn't watch the damn interview. All I seen was the clip. I ain't even watched the New Edition shit.
Back in 2017.
I watched that after I downloaded it.
I watched. I mean, some of that stuff you don't have to watch, right? You were there, like you grew up with them.
So you already know what it's
about. You really have
about.
to watch that. Yeah, like I mean, I was there. I don't need to see that. I mean, maybe the kids liked it.
In Jersey, Boston, so that was already close, anyways. Like you was already. Near
I mean, not really.
It wasn't too close.
No, it's like 5-6 hours away. But no one really goes to Boston. Like it was like, But I mean, just period. They were big. I mean, that was the group. But I agree with you. And I think, too, like I said, because depending on who the victims are, because R. Kelly's victims are young black women, we feel more involved and we feel like we have more of a voice and we should speak up and try to defend those young girls. You know what I mean? I felt like I defended them, but at the end of it all, I'm like, yo, this dude probably gets off again because he's already been tried 20 years ago from all these old tapes from these girls that whatever was going on back then. And then the new girls, he's not even on trial for that. And first of all, he's not on trial for doing what he did. It's child pornography. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's not even like, for that. Yeah, and then it's not even for what we're laughing at.
See, and that's what people don't understand.
It's just,
and Ken, I have a question for you. D.L. Hughley, he tweeted this, and I thought it was genius to me. If R. Kelly's docuseries never came out, would all this outrage still go on right now? How do you feel about that?
No, we would just say that's just what he does, and everybody will move on.
So I'm saying that is the power of the media.
But it's not really outrage, like he said. It's just something to talk about because we all find something on common ground that we know about. So we just all, we like to meet in the middle and talk about something that's popular because I can't talk to you about what happened to me at work today.
Right.
Nobody cares about that. You don't know anything about my job. So,
right.
But you do know. So what do you think about it? And then that's what makes everything go trending, right? Because it's so many people talking about it at the same time, good, bad, and different. Right. It's being mentioned.
Yep.
So, anyway.
There is no outrage. I feel like, if we got a real issue, the outrage is where it starts. That's how you know how people can feel about certain things, about what they do with their emotions.
Yeah,
exactly.
Too emotional.
Kid get killed, we are outraged. We are, we hitting the streets. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody, but
the ones that do,
the
right?
Actions have shown how people feel.
Yeah. What have they done for the women since the
that's what I'm saying.
There's no outrage.
Just like
ain't no protest happening. It's really no one cares.
But just like Robert Kraft though, like when he got arrested for getting $69 blowjobs. And it was supposed to be a sex trafficking ring. Okay, well, did they save the girl? Like, you don't hear about the girl. Right. It's sex trafficking, right? So they're there, not on their own will, right? They're held there because it's sex trafficking. They're being held like captive and made to have sex and give these guys blowjobs. Yep. But where are the girls? Are they okay? Because I see that y'all indicting him, but I didn't see if that y'all rescued the chicks and they got out and they don't have to give blowjobs anymore. That's what I wanted to see. If you really cared about the girls, then no one has anyone heard anything about the girls?
I was told that was an ongoing investigation that they've been doing for years. So it's like that particular space that he was at is a known spot that's questionable for that, and so the only reason why they mentioned that with him because it was Robert Kraft. That's the biggest name that they could get.
Okay,
to the
great.
So like I'm a detective. I've been working on this case for 2-3 years. Now it's time for me to I'm either about to lose my job or
gotta make something shake.
You gotta make something shake.
Yeah.
The biggest name we got is Robert Kraft. Without that human trafficking on that for Robert Kraft's standpoint, we don't even hear about it because it's not headline no more. Like him getting prostitution, like that's legal in Vegas. It's not like no one cares.
But it's not legal in Florida where he was at.
Add the human trafficking to it, you know what I'm saying? Now we have something to talk about.
Yeah.
But without that, and it's not. He ain't really had nothing to do with the human trafficking. It's just this is what we.
He was just there.
You know what I'm saying? That's my take on that. On that part.
Yeah.
And the owner of the place where he was getting it done at, the lady that her family owns it, she has been seen lately in pictures with President Trump at Mar-a-Lago. So they all just boys, and that's all the creepy things that they do. That's just what they do.
What state it was? You said it wasn't in what's name?
In Florida, it's not.
Who runs Florida? Which right Republicans, according to Jay Black?
The Bushes.
The Bushes run Florida.
Yeah.
And guess who Robert Kraft was just seen with a chain on his neck and all of that. So this is something new. It's like, okay, all right. We're going to get you back, Robert Kraft.
Yep, that's what I was thinking about, too.
But if I arrest you for just prostitution, then that's nothing.
Yeah.
But we have to add that on so we can put a little taint on your name, just a little bit. You feel what I'm saying? Like, other than that, it's like, it's Florida. He's been going to every state. He do the same thing in every state.
I was going to say that. He's probably been doing this for years.
He got a private jet. I guarantee you, Robert Kraft got a whole spot in every state that he goes to that he can go and get his rocks off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just Florida.
He's a billionaire.
Yeah, you can't tell me to go and he flies all across the states just to stop here at this one specific spot. I'm in Florida for the weekend. Set me up with Dolly and Sarah. You know what I'm saying? Cool. Y'all here in Philly, need Tamika and you know what I'm saying? I'm in Atlanta. Give me, you know, that's how I know that's how.
Yeah. Hey, that's real. There's nothing new.
Well, I wish he would do a better job. I mean, he's got too much money to be getting the $69 blowjob special at
They be
local
cheap.
spa.
Billionaires be cheap.
Oh, the cheap ones are probably good, huh?
Females, they have sex with celebrities for free just to say
That's real.
So
That's facts.
$75.
She take
crazy.
I'm flying for the bop if it's that good. And if that's the 70, it's like getting some good wings. Like goddamn, I gotta go to the hood to get the good wings.
Do you hear
That's what
this?
it is. Hey, he's speaking facts. I mean,
don't
rich
wanna
white
hear
men, they be into some quirky stuff. So it's like,
I will travel for the bop. Okay.
that's it.
Bop is right.
Nothing's
Especially
gonna
if
hold
you
him
have a
back.
private jet, shoe. I'm
You
coming.
go anywhere, anytime. That's it.
Well, y'all, don't be messy and sloppy
Right.
and do things right.
Yep.
And black men don't cheat.
Thank you. I appreciate
No,
that.
I'm telling you not to.
Yeah, but black men already don't cheat.
Whatever.
Faithful Black Men of America is a real organization.
Faithful black women of America. Hold your stand your ground, ladies.
That's it.
All right, y'all. Make sure you check out Innovative Black Station and buy a shirt because
Yes.
these shirts are very
It's the best.
dope. And make sure you check us out on SoundCloud and where else? YouTube.
Yeah,
Innovative Black Station. Everything.
you're right. And I'm just bobbing my head. I'm agreeing.
So make sure you come check out the show and
Yep.
make sure you have a good time in Cuba, Caleb.
I will.
And bring us some cigars
Yeah,
back.
hey, we're going to smoke some on the next show.
I don't want to, but if you
Or
want to
we'll
buy
just
one
have
of
them.
my cigars,
We'll
that
just
Caleb
put them over
brings
here on the
back.
table. We'll just put them on the table.
All right, y'all. Peace.
That's it.